Most people fear debt. Millionaires use it as a tool. Now, before you panic, this doesn't mean wealthy people go around maxing out credit cards or borrowing money to buy things they can't afford. In fact, that's exactly what they avoid. The difference is simple. Most people use debt to consume. Millionaires use debt to acquire assets. And that one shift can completely change the way money works in your life. Let's decode it. For many people, debt has a negative reputation. And honestly, that's understandable. Credit card debt, car loans, personal loans, buy now, pay later payments. These types of debt often make people poorer because they're used to buy things that lose value over time. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it's worth less. The moment you open a new smartphone, it starts depreciating. Yet many people are still making payments years later. That's what wealthy people call bad debt. Debt that takes money out of your pocket. But not all debt works that way. Imagine you borrow money to buy an asset that generates income. A rental property, a business, equipment that increases profits, an investment that grows over time. Now the debt isn't simply costing you money, it's helping you make money. This is where wealthy people think differently. Instead of asking, how can I avoid debt? They ask, can this debt create more value than it costs? Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you buy a rental property for $300,000. Instead of paying the entire amount in cash, you put down 20% and borrow the rest. Now suppose the property increases in value and also generates rental income. You've used a relatively small amount of your own money to control a much larger asset. This concept is called leverage. And leverage is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools in existence. Used wisely, it allows people to multiply their returns. Used recklessly, it can multiply losses too. That's why understanding it is so important. The wealthy understand something most people don't. Debt itself isn't the problem. The purpose of the debt is what matters. Two people can borrow the exact same amount of money. One uses it to buy a luxury car. The other uses it to buy an income-producing asset. 10 years later, their financial lives may look completely different. One is still making payments. The other owns something that produces cash flow. Same debt, different outcome. Another reason wealthy people use debt is because they want their money working elsewhere. Imagine a millionaire has enough cash to buy a property outright. Most people assume they would simply pay cash, but many don't. Why? Because that cash might earn a higher return somewhere else. Perhaps it's invested in businesses, stocks, real estate projects. Instead of locking up all their cash in one purchase, they borrow strategically and keep their capital working. They understand the opportunity cost of money. Every dollar has a job, and they want every dollar working as efficiently as possible. Now here's the part most people misunderstand. Millionaires aren't blindly taking on debt. They're extremely careful. They study risks. They run calculations. They maintain cash reserves. They don't borrow based on emotion. They borrow based on numbers. That's a huge difference. Many financial mistakes happen because people use debt to satisfy immediate desires. Wealthy people typically use debt to create future opportunities. So how can you apply this lesson? First, understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. Bad debt buys things that lose value and generate no income. Good debt has the potential to create income or increase your net worth. Second, focus on financial education. Never borrow money for an investment you don't understand. Third, remember that debt is neither good nor bad, it's simply a tool. And like any tool, the results depend on how it's used. The truth is that debt has helped build some of the world's largest fortunes. Not because wealthy people love borrowing money, but because they understand how to use leverage responsibly. Most people fear debt. Millionaires use it as a tool. And once you understand the difference between borrowing to consume and borrowing to invest, you'll start seeing money through a completely different lens. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Money Decoded, because money doesn't have to be complicated, it just needs to be decoded.